What would you do if you had the ability to travel a minute back in time? Franklin Fausti is a passionate tech blogger, also known as Remedy. He is trying to get an interview with a tech guru, Anton Burrell. Anton's company, Psi Trinity, promises achieving optimal health through the use of sophisticated devices that they manufacture. Hoping to get the interview with Anton, Franklin takes an entry-level job in his company. His new boss is annoyed that Franklin came in late and unprepared. His job includes scanning people's bracelets before entering them into an area where Anton's presentation is held. Franklin makes mistakes, so the customers are mad at him, and so is his boss. A fellow employee, Jala, helps Franklin with the boss. They become friends, and he asks her out on a date. Franklin goes to the bathroom to meet his friend Andy. He gives Franklin an access bracelet. He stole it from his boss and put Franklin's information in there. Now that Franklin has obtained the bracelet, he lets the security scan it and goes inside. He walks behind the scenes and observes Anton getting out of his car. Franklin tries to hide, but Anton catches him. Franklin tries to explain himself, but Anton is not mad and just tells him to stay put and enjoy the show. Anton enters the stage as the cheerful crowd greets him with a standing ovation. The bracelets that everyone in the crowd wears are called Tri-Band. Anton unveils the newest version of the product, Tri-Band 5. Meanwhile, a man dressed in a security uniform tases a guard and sneaks onto the stage. He passes Franklin and fires a gun in the air. He then points a gun at Anton. Franklin heroically pushes the assailant away with a cart, saving Anton's life. The perpetrator is taken away by security. Impressed with Franklin's selfless act of heroism, Anton thanks him for saving his life. He promises Franklin the interview he has been seeking. Franklin gets off the stage. Anton sits in the car. Franklin notices the ring lying on the floor, the same ring Anton was wearing earlier. He picks up the ring, looks at it, and touches the stone. To his astonishment, he was transported a minute back into the past. He watches Anton sitting in the car again. Perplexed by the inexplicable phenomenon, he picks up the ring again and leaves. Franklin goes to Kogan's Grill for his date with Jala. He looks at the ring and is tempted to touch the stone again. The waitress distracts him, and he accidentally touches the stone, reversing time again. Just like the first time, he observes the same events happening again, exactly the same way they did in the last minute. Just to be sure, Franklin tries to do it again. But this time, the stone on the ring is white, and touching it does nothing. About a minute later, the stone goes back to black. Franklin gets his phone, runs the timer for a minute, and touches the stone, trying to find the exact amount of time that he reverses every time he touches the stone. He has 3 seconds left on the timer, therefore, it's 57 seconds. Jala comes in. She is surprised to see Franklin holding a ring.
You're not about to propose, are you?
She compliments him on his heroism earlier. They take a walk. Franklin admits that he only took that job to meet Anton, and his real job is investigative journalism. They kiss and head to Franklin's place. They're about to make love as Jala notices the women's purses in his closet. Disappointed, she tries to leave, but Franklin reverses time. He closes the door of the closet with his leg. But now, Jala notices a woman's picture on his nightstand, so she leaves again. Franklin touches the stone. This time, he manages to both close the door of the closet and put the picture down, so everything goes fine. Sig Thorensen, a pharmaceutical billionaire, is unhappy with Anton's revolutionary invention. He suspects that Anton orchestrated the attack on himself for the dramatic effect to boost his sales. He orders his henchmen, Calvert and Renee, to prove that. He also orders them to follow Franklin and find out if he's working for Anton. In the morning, Franklin and Jala have breakfast together. Franklin's car is towed, so he runs downstairs to stop them, only to see them leave. Calvert is spying on him from the car. Franklin uses the ring, but it's hopeless because even 57 seconds ago, they were already too far, and you can't use the ring immediately after you just used it. Franklin is in trouble because he doesn't have the money to pay the fine for the car. He sees a casino ad on television and finds a new use for his time-reversing ring. He goes to the casino, places a bet, observes what number wins, goes back in time, and places his money on the winning number. He does this many times and gets the attention of strangers rooting for him. Calvert keeps following him in the casino. Franklin cashes out his chips and uses the substantial amount of money he won to buy a sports car. He goes to Vegas to win more money in different casinos. In one of the places, the security gets suspicious about his unusual luck. He cashes out and leaves, but a security guard attacks him from behind. Franklin uses the ring and tries to leave through a different exit, but fails. In the next iteration, he throws the money everywhere and uses the crowd grabbing the money as a distraction to leave. But he doesn't get far. They attack him again and accuse him of running a scam. Calvert comes out of the car and accuses the security guards of trying to get his money for themselves, not for the casino. They let Franklin go with a warning not to come back. Calvert and Franklin grab something to eat and have a friendly chat. Calvert is curious about what his scheme actually is. Franklin denies having one. Calvert informs Franklin that Sig Thorensen desires to meet him. Franklin is disgusted with Thorensen's company and firmly declines the invitation. Jala comes to Franklin's apartment. She is surprised to see new furniture and appliances. He admits he won the money for it in the casino. She takes his laptop to do some work. Apparently, Franklin has some woman's picture as his screensaver, so Jala is naturally curious who she is. Franklin had a twin sister named Natalie. It was her picture and purses earlier in his room. She lost her life to the overuse of Zoniston, an addictive painkiller manufactured by Sig Thornton's company. Needless to say, Franklin loathes Sig Thornton and his company. That is why he declined Calvert's invitation earlier. Franklin devoted himself to exposing the truth about the negative effects of Zoniston through his blog. But it's not easy. In order to remain anonymous, he uses an alias, Remedy, and hides his IP address to protect himself from the shady corporations that might want to have him eliminated for exposing the truth. Jala is impressed with Franklin's devotion to helping people. She thinks it's heroic. Knowing her interest in becoming an artist, Franklin gives her canvases, brushes, and paints as a present. They go out to check Franklin's new car. Anton calls Franklin. He wants to give Franklin the interview he promised. Apparently, it has to be right now, so Anton sends a car for him. Franklin is brought to Psi Trinity, where Anton greets him, thanking him again for saving his life. In gratitude, Anton gives Franklin a present. Franklin starts the interview. Anton reveals that they're working on a device that would be capable of preventing any physical injury by preventing the accidents. Anton further discloses that in the early 1960s, he stumbled upon a substance that contained quantum particles. But in those days, the political climate wouldn't allow him to use the technology, so he kept it secret for decades. Anton intends to create a device that would integrate this quantum substance with the artificial intelligence to eradicate accidents and their associated harm completely. Franklin figures out that the ring probably contains the quantum substance Anton mentioned. That would explain the ring's seemingly magical ability to reverse time. Franklin decides to have that meeting with Sig Thornton after all. He drives to Thornton's mansion in his new sports car. Calvert greets him and takes him to meet Sig Thornton. Sig introduces Franklin to Renee, who helps him run the business. He offers Franklin the position of official spokesperson for his company. He wants Franklin to fight the bad image his company has in the media. Sig brags that Zoniston has helped a lot of people.
I could help my sister.
Enraged by Sig's smug attitude, he rejects the offer. Franklin assaults Sig, but immediately uses the ring to go back. This time, he graciously accepts the offer. Sig is interested in Franklin's unusual luck in the casino earlier. Franklin admits that he has a gift of predicting the immediate future. Sig wants to test if that is the case and asks Franklin what is going to happen when he whistles. Franklin, of course, misses the prediction the first time, but after using the ring, he accurately predicts that one of Sig's girlfriends will come to him when he whistles, and she will trip. Sig is amazed with the accuracy of the prediction. He figures out that Anton's tri-band technology is somehow linked to this magical ability. Franklin informs Jala that he intends to infiltrate Sig's company and exploit his position to find some actual evidence. Jala doesn't believe that it's such a good idea. Knowing he can reverse time, Franklin out of the blue proposes to Jala with a different ring to test what she would say. Surprisingly, she agrees to marry him. Franklin tells Sig that the best way to rebrand his company is a big event-style piece, like the presentation Anton gave earlier, but it would take 6 months to do it properly. Sig and Renee reluctantly agree. Renee shows Franklin his new office. He immediately starts looking for clues, but is interrupted by a woman that Sig sent to him. He throws her out as Sig watches him through a security camera. Sig orders Renee and Calvert to figure out the secret of Franklin's magic trick. Franklin and Jala buy a house. Sig invites them to his Miami house. They fly there in his private jet. He asks them to leave their tri-bands behind, thinking that maybe it's the tri-band that allows Franklin to do the trick. In the house, Sig closely watches Franklin as he gambles, but obviously he can't see Franklin touching the stone on the ring since the time reverses. And from his perspective, it never happened. Renee tries to get some valuable information from Jala, thinking she might know how Franklin does it. Franklin interrupts them. He managed to win $100,000 that evening, making Sig and Renee even more suspicious. They talk and have a good time, but suddenly a man approaches them. He opens fire and wounds Sig and Renee. He also executes Jala as she pleads for mercy. Franklin goes back in time and incapacitates the assailant beforehand, saving Sig's life. Franklin's heroism is praised in the news. The attacker is identified as the husband of Susan Miller, a former employee of Sig Thornton's company who had taken her own life inside her office for reasons unknown. Franklin tries to get the Susan Miller file from Renee, since officially she is the one who knew Zoniston is addictive and didn't tell anyone because she had a financial stake in its success. So Franklin claims he needs her file to properly clean the image of the company. Renee promises to get him the file. Sig is dissatisfied with Calvert's inability to protect him from the attacker earlier. He gives Franklin the Susan Miller file, but it's empty. Sig claims they lost her records by mistake. He wants to thank Franklin for saving his life. They take a ride in Sig's Ferrari and go for a drink. In gratitude, Sig gives Franklin the keys to his Ferrari. Sig puts something in his drink and takes Franklin in his drugged state upstairs to film him with a bunch of women in order to blackmail him with the footage. Franklin wakes up a few hours later and drives home in the Ferrari. In his house, he is met by Anton, who claims he has an interest in Jala's paintings, so he buys all of them. Jala doesn't understand why Franklin even spends time with Sig if it's not a real job. She thinks Franklin has sold out. They have a fight and end up falling in the pool together. Jala accidentally touches the ring and they both travel 57 seconds back in time. Franklin tells her the truth. She is utterly disappointed that Franklin would use the ring to manipulate her, saying stuff that she wants to hear.
You are a liar.
Jala breaks up with Franklin. This made him realize that he was, in fact, enjoying the wealth provided by his fake job, which sidetracked him from the objective, finding the truth about Sig's company. Franklin drives to the office and confronts Renee. He threatens her with a pistol to get the combination to the safe. She yells for help, so Franklin restarts. Next time, he tries to act tough but accidentally shoots her. After restarting, he grabs her mouth shut and orders her to write down the combination. But as he finds out on the next iteration, the combination she wrote down was a lie. He does this again and again and again until he gets a real combination and opens the safe. He reverses time and waits till she leaves the office. Now he can open the safe without problems. Inside the safe, Franklin finds a box full of papers, discs, and photographs. Apparently, Sig Thorensen maintained an extensive dossier of incriminating evidence, a tool to manipulate and coerce his employees into complying with his corrupt schemes. Franklin sends Andy the evidence and gives him a task to broadcast the evidence live on television before the basketball game. Andy is hesitant, but Franklin convinces him by sending him a large amount of money to his account. Franklin writes a final post in his blog explaining that he won't be writing anything in it for a while because he has to get off the grid. The basketball game starts. Andy disrupts the game by broadcasting the incriminating evidence on Thorensen, just like Franklin asked him to. The general public is shocked and appalled. As soon as Franklin leaves his house, he is knocked unconscious and kidnapped by Sig Thorensen and his henchmen. Sig also kidnapped Jala. Jala manages to break free and runs to the police that are closing on their position. Sig tries to flee to his private island in his jet with Calvert and Renee. Franklin is escorted inside the plane. The police block the runway and open fire on the jet, damaging the engines. Sig accidentally touches the ring and finds out about the ring's time-traveling quality. He forcefully takes the ring from Franklin, but it's no use. The ring can only go back 57 seconds, and the engines were already damaged at that point. Sig pleads for Franklin to save him. Franklin tells Sig about his sister. Now he has his revenge. Sig is panicking and tries to take the helm from Calvert as Franklin enjoys their misery. The jet crashes, but against the odds, Franklin survives. And so do Calvert and Renee. The plane explodes right behind their backs, leaving no chance for Sig Thorensen to survive. Anton Burrell shows up at the scene. He assures Franklin that everything is going to be all right. He knows about the ring. In fact, he wanted Franklin to have it. Anton's right-hand man, Ingram, is an android whose circuitry is directly linked to the ring. So, all this time, Anton closely monitored Franklin's progress. On the day of Anton's presentation, when Franklin picked up Anton's ring, Ingram recognized Franklin as the ideal candidate to test the revolutionary time-traveling technology. In fact, the whole thing was a test of Franklin himself, rather than a test of the ring. That is why Anton wanted Franklin to have it. Seeing that Franklin has an aptitude for time travel, Anton invites him to join his team and help him perfect the time-traveling technology. The recent events make Franklin realize that going back in time and redoing your actions is no way to live. Not only is it irresponsible, since you ultimately have no way of predicting what would be the long-term repercussions of the changes you make, but it's also addictive. The person becomes dependent on the idea that you don't have to try hard to succeed. You can just go back in time and redo it every time you make a mistake. Franklin denies the offer. Anton asks him to return the ring. Franklin decides that no one should have this power and breaks the ring. Interestingly, Anton says that the offer still stands. If anything, he is even more convinced now that Franklin is the right person for the job, because he has proven that this technology doesn't control him. But Franklin is adamant. He refuses to participate in time travel research. He and Jala take off the tri-bands and leave. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.